Okay guys, here we go. We're going to do a really quick tutorial, hopefully, about how to set up your magazine cover file, as well as introduce you to a couple basics about the program InDesign. You guys have the assignment here. You notice here are the sizes. We discussed in class that trim dimensions are different than bleed dimensions, so I'm going to show you how to set those two up. And remember that the trim is where they actually cut, the size that they actually cut the pages out. It's the exact size of the A4 magazine size. The bleed dimensions is the extra ink beyond that that they cut off, so that the colors on the page will go right to the edge of the cut line. Basically, go to InDesign. You're going to go Command N or File New, create a new document. Make sure that your pages, your units is set up in inches. If not, you will go to InDesign to Preferences, and you will change that right here by going Preferences, Units and Increments, and just change it from picas or points or whatever it is to inches on both of these, horizontal and vertical, and then hit OK. Then when you go to your new document, you will notice here that there's the place to put in the size, which is 8.2677. If you hit the tab button, it will go over to the height column. You can enter that number. Alright, now we need to add this bleed dimension. The way that you do that is by clicking More Options. Most of these windows like this will have an Options button to show more, and that's where bleed is at. 1/8 of an inch is a 0.125, not 1.25 or anything else. It's 0.125. And when you hit the tab button on the keyboard, it will fill in all the way across. And then hit OK. And leave this margin here of a 0.5 inch margin. That's going to be your safe zone. So you want to make sure that none of your graphics go beyond this margin. Okay, and this red line here is the bleed line. So you're going to want all of your colors, photographs, and everything to come out to here. You want to keep all your important information out of this area. This is the trim line. That will be the edge of the paper. And this is your margin line. So to get started, first thing you probably should do is save. Save and save often after that. I'm just going to call this mag. Save it in my documents folder where your student folder should be. And it's done. Now I've got these files here that are provided for you. Right here, barcode, there's a cover photo, masthead. Make sure that you look right here that this project must include these items right here. Okay, the masthead, the cover photo or illustration, barcode, price, issue specific info, month, date, volume, etc. Teaser text for the cover story, features, and departments. I'm going to go ahead and close this. Keep that handy so you can refer to it. A really simple way to get some of these elements into your file is to just select them. If you hold down the command button, you can select individual items here and then just drag them over, and that drops them in. The other thing that you can do once you place these in, and when you get back over here after you've done a drag from your file folder, it's going to let you place these wherever you like in this manner. Alright, I like to place them all at once, maybe group them together, and then scale them down. Instead of just holding, if you just hold Shift to scale something down, it's going to actually just crop. So in this program you have to hold down Shift and Command before you click the corner, and then everything will scale down. Alright. So as we mentioned in the lecture, that the crop of the cover photo can make all of the difference. And you can see here that this photo has some white space on the outside. Essentially you want to just get this box to go ahead and fill all the way out to the bleed line. Then if you use this direct selection tool, you can select the individual photo and move it within the box, which allows you to basically crop it really easily. Hold the Shift button and scale it up, and you get this gentleman here on the cover. You can pull your masthead over. You can see it's a little bit too small, so I'm going to hold down Shift and Command and make it larger. The problem here is that we've got a dark masthead on a dark background. So I have a white version of it. You can't see it here, but it's a white version of the masthead. I'm going to teach you how to relink a file here. If you select this masthead and you go to the links palette right here, go to the menu and hit relink, then that's going to allow you to go to the desktop or wherever you have your files, find it, and relink it. And that's going to change it to the white version, which has actually got the incorrect font in it right now, but let's not worry about that just yet. Actually, let me show you how to do this since we're here. I'm going to open this up. I'm going to double click this. And the font that I'm using is called Code. So I can select it right there, hit enter, or put in CODE, hit enter. Alright, I'm going to make this black just so I can see it for a second. I can see that I've actually got to change some stuff here. I'm back in Illustrator. Feel free to make your masthead in Illustrator, okay? Or you can lay it out in InDesign. Remember that on this project you can use Photoshop for photo stuff, Illustrator for illustration and vector-based graphics. Alright, and InDesign is strictly a layout program for laying out publications. So I've got this set. I'm going to hit save. I'm going to hit Command W to close it. And I'm going to come back over here and relink this. It gives you an error right here saying that something has changed with this file. I changed the fonts, so I'm going to go relink, find it, say OK, and then it's changed. Make it a little larger. Alright, now what you're seeing here, you got these blue and purple lines. Those are, that's your margin line, and to get rid of that you can just simply hit Command and then the colon semicolon button, and that will get rid of it. Turns it on, turns it off. Alright, if you want to get rid of this blue line, which is called a frame edge, all you have to do is go to Object, go to hold on, View, Extras, Hide Frame Edges. There's a key command for it right there too. Alright, so when you hide the frame edges, they go away. Then you don't have to worry about those being in your way. So the barcode is a crucial part. You can crop photos just by dragging this box like that. And remember that when you use the direct selection tool, you can select the photo or the art file that's in it and move it inside of the box. Alright. So I'm going to get this barcode right where I want it. I'm going to make sure I got a nice even amount of white space around it. And I'm just going to drag it down to the corner. Now, it disappeared. That's because it's behind the photo. The same thing as the other programs. You can go to Object, Arrange, and send to front, bring to front, send backwards, etc. So I'm going to send this photo to the back, and there's my barcode. Alright. This program does have layers if you choose to use that. It's a palette right here. Alright. Might be wise organizationally if you want to do that. So again, hold Shift and Command before you click the corner, then click and drag the corner, and that will scale down your barcode. Make sure your barcode's not too big. I would bring up the margins. Make sure that it's kind of at least not too far out of there. This could probably get outside of that just a little bit. And that's probably even still too big, so I'm going to scale it down some more. Alright. Command 0 will always take you back to the full view. Remember that Command colon semicolon button takes off those margin lines. Command plus and minus will zoom in and zoom out just like other programs. Alright. Then you want to set your text. You got the text tool. You got the pen tool, line tool, rectangle tool. You got another rectangle tool here. This one's for drawing shapes. It's got all these under it, just like usual. You got scissors for cutting paths. Some of these things are very similar. Gradients, gradient feather, eyedropper, magnifying glass. You've got all these tools that you have in Illustrator, so feel free to use those. To set some teaser text, I'm going to do the cover one first, and I'm going to call it Joe Wins. I have no idea who this dude is. Alright. Or what he's doing. I'm going to click and draw a box. Put Joe Wins in it. You can see it's really small, so I'm going to do Command A to select all, and I'm going to do the key command, Shift Command, greater than, arrow. The greater than and less than arrow when holding Shift and Command will increase the size of the text. You can also see it changing right up here when I do that. You have two ways you can increase the size. All right. I'm going to change the font right here to be Code Bold. All right. And with it being down here on top of this, I'm going to make it white by going to the swatches palette and selecting paper. That's what this program calls white. Calls it paper because everything in this program is being laid out and printed on paper. So if I set that right there, obviously this is just a tutorial design, so it's not going to be a bang up award-winning design. But this teaser text, also remember if you hold down Option and you click and drag, it'll make copies. Alright, so I'm going to copy that text, scale it down, and just add the rest of the text. And let's just say that's like the secondary subheadline for that teaser text. Then you can easily just copy that, click and drag that while holding the Option key. Then you've got another set. You can group that by doing Command G. You can see this is all grouped now. Hold down Shift and Command, drag this corner and it'll scale down. Then we can have more teaser text right here. You can zoom in by holding down the space bar and the Command button. Do Shift Command G to ungroup it. Now you guys are going to be making up your own text for these teasers based on the content that you've kind of set up for your magazine. Alright, but I'm just putting in some filler or some lorem ipsum text. You can see right here I've got a lot of space between these two lines. That's called leading. The place where you can change that is by going to your character palette, by going types and tables here and choosing character, or do Command T. That brings up this character palette which has all these options for your fonts. So you've got the font size. This is leading right here. If you hover over these, it'll tell you what they are. Tracking is the space between letters, all the letters. So if I reduce that to -100, you can see all the letters get closer together. If I make it 100, they go further apart. That's tracking. Kerning, which is right here. Nope, sorry, this one. Allows you to change the space between each letter, individual letters. Sometimes these curved letters against straight letters will actually need to be custom kerned by doing like -25. Maybe that's not enough, so you do 50. And that reduces the space between those letters so that they look more consistent with the other letters. As far as leading goes, you select the two lines, and you can just reduce it manually by clicking that arrow or manually enter a number. But just tighten it up a little bit so you're saving as much space on the cover as possible. Alright. The last thing you probably need to add on here is that issue specific info. Again, I'm just holding down Option and clicking and dragging this. Make sure your fonts aren't too big. You can go down to 9-10 point type. And what's happening right here is I've chosen some characters like a dash and a number sign which are not used in this font set code. So I'm actually going to change it to a different font like Helvetica that actually has those characters in the font set. And no one's going to know the difference there. And get that set up right there. Alright. So as you can see relatively quickly, we've got one version of a cover. What I want you guys to do, once you get to that point, make sure you save it. You'll save it before if you definitely want to be smart about it. You know, you're going to set up more, at least 2 or 3 other little sets of teaser text out here. Okay, you've got these justification tools right here. So when you select your text, you want to do right justification on this one instead of left. You just do that here, left, right, center. All right. There's other justification tools there that you can use. You'll see when I click this right here, it moves to the right. Get this back over here in the safe zone. Turn the margins back on. Make sure that, see, this one's hanging out there. It needs to move in. Okay. Now everything here is pretty much safe. Inside the margins, you can move this masthead up even further. All right. You could probably even come in and customize this cover size, cover photo a little bit, make it a little larger. All right. Not too big though. There, now you've got kind of a nice looking magazine cover relatively quickly. And what I want you guys to do from there, in the Pages palette right here, is you can actually duplicate the spread. When you duplicate the spread, it's going to make another copy of it. Now you'll see right here, if I duplicated it again, it's putting these pages side by side. That's called facing pages, and that's what we're going to be using in the next phase of this project when we get into actually laying out interior spreads of the magazine. But for now, anytime you want to change something with a document, you just go to Document Setup, and you just take off whatever it is, change whatever it is you need. This case, we're going to take off facing pages, so we have single pages. And now what you can do is you can go into these other versions and you can start to change things up. You can change your cover photo, you could make it larger, whatever it is that you need to do to change the dynamic of your cover, to come up with different options, feel free to do it. This is the place to make it happen, Then you move on to the next one and the next one. And this allows you to see multiple versions of the same cover design so that you have options and that you don't erase what you've done initially in case you want to go back. You've always got another version. So again, make sure you save and save often so you don't lose your work. Ultimately, once you get to the final product, you're just going to go File, Export, and save it as a print PDF. And you'll save it to your Documents folder. And what I want you to do, and all these things that we're going to be doing with the magazine layouts, you're going to have to turn on what's called marks and bleeds. These are marks that the printer would use for the crop marks, the bleed marks, registrations, etc. All right, so make sure that you do that. Also, make sure that you use the document bleed settings, and that way that will be representative on your PDF when you hit export. And you can tell it to export just one page. If you wanted just number 3, you could tell it to just export a single page PDF. But you have the option to show me your progress as well if you like. And so here in the Documents folder, you will see my PDF right here, as well as that other file. I'm going to put them in here. Alright. When I go to open it up, I've got this nice PDF file that's got all the crop marks, bleed marks, registration marks, etc. And it's got all these versions of the cover in there, ready to go, ready to be proofed. So have fun on this project. If you have questions, please ask me, ask your art director, ask your neighbor, and have a good time. Bye.